We got an update on Tom Aspinall's knee. So it's being reported meniscus and MCL. And as far as knee injury goes, that's okay. I mean, that's going to hurt. That's going to slow you down. But in some regards, it's good news. Because the ACL, while hurt, is not going to need surgery. I'm quoting from the report that we got. Now, I got to tell you guys, 15-second contest. I thought going into that fight, I felt in my heart, Tom might be the best heavyweight out there. He might be the guy that is still rising and still hasn't completely convinced everybody, but that has the most skills and the most potential. I really felt that. I now know that I'm right. Even in those 15 seconds, I now know that I'm right. Tom went out there. He was in a little bit of a hurry, right? You always learn things in fights. Everything's 20-20, you break it down. But Tom did come across the cage. He did pack Curtis Blades. Curtis didn't have a whole lot of options. He didn't have a whole lot of places to move because Tom put him into a corner. Tom began throwing kicks as opposed to hands. The general rule on kicks is you will finish a combination with a kick. You don't start a combination with a kick. That's the general rule. But Tom broke that. He started riding with kicks. When you do that, the other guy just punches straight down the middle and he hits you. Okay, great. But that's what Curtis did. Twice. Hard. A fresh, well-ranged Curtis Blade threw a 1-2 combo right down the middle and hit Tom right in his face. Didn't bother Tom at all. Tom threw another kick. Curtis hit him with a 1-2 again. That rinsed and repeated 3 times over, all in 15 seconds. Curtis Blade hit Tom 6 times, 3 jabs, 3 crosses. Didn't hurt him all. I mean, I'm just sharing with you. As good or tough that I thought Tom was going to that fight, I now know that I'm right. And I don't know how many people could get that out of 15 seconds. I don't know how many people could see that. I have things that I could critique, and again, the kicks, and maybe got a little apprehensive and rushed him a little. I'm just sharing with you. That's good news. And now we've got a little bit of the finish to the story. That's probably, and that's being guessed, and again, doctor, but I like to play one over here type thing, 6 months. 6 months till you're back, full training, back in the ring within 8 months. So hold that thought. I'm purely just bringing that to you, but it did force me as I read that to look back on that card, to look back on that event. My mind quickly did jump to Paddy. I mean, if anybody has stood out as an absolute star, if you can fill up arenas like the O2, if you can get the loudest reception of the night, if you're the one that the people really came out to see, I mean, that's something special. And Jordan did more than any other opponent Paddy's ever had, has done. Jordan saw the opportunity, and Jordan came forward. Jordan also showed some skills. Now, when the whole thing was over, it really helped to shine a light on just how good Paddy was. Jordan did not touch Paddy up as was predicted. He took him down. He held some position, but he also tested Paddy's lungs. Getting a takedown is the hardest thing you can do as far as an exertion goes. It's the hardest thing in the entire sport that you can do. Going for a takedown and or get is the hardest thing that you can do, except being the guy on bottom. Now you got this other guy on top of you. You're using just as much energy and reverse, and now you gotta get up with equal body weight on top. Paddy did that. Paddy was getting worn down. Paddy was getting tired, but we didn't see that at all. He was pushing the pace. He returned to the same position 3 different times. He solved the problem 3 different times. I didn't know Paddy was that good. I saw nothing from Paddy Pimblett that night that would preclude me from believing he has the potential to be a world champion. Now, Dana comes out, he talks about Paddy. He puts a plan out there. He was a little light on details, but he did say, I think we take him to Boston or New York. We bring him to Vegas, we test him out on pay-per-view. This was Dana's short-term plan. One thing that aggravates me, and that I could not help but notice, and guys, how long's been by? A month? There's been enough amount of time. I haven't heard anybody ask for the fight with Paddy. I've heard guys say his name. I've heard guys talk about basically the jealousy that they feel because they think he's getting special treatment and or opportunities, but I haven't heard them say, I want to fight him. And looking at the tea leaves of Paddy, right, you can't just call anybody out. You can't just say, I want to fight Francis Ngannou and have anybody listen to you. Francis has got himself in a rare field. World champion, he's only going to take on contenders. So there's maybe 2 guys at a time that would even have an argument to be heard that believe they should get that shot. But Paddy's in a different spot. Got this unranked guy, you got this new guy. At some point, they're going to make the big push. They're doing it right now with Sugar Sean by example. He's getting the big push. He's proved himself, and now he's going in with the former champion. At some point, they're going to do that with Paddy. So if you're one of the top guys and you want to go stop him or get your hands on him now, you could call out Paddy. You could call a guy much lower than you. Eventually, those guys are going to get called, but that might not be right now. We don't know that. It might continue to be guys that we're not overly familiar with, that are also not highly ranked. It might be. So that opens up that entire end of the pool as well. So my final analysis, when you do that equation, is everybody within the division has a reasonable claim to believe that they could be next for Paddy. Nobody is disqualified from that. We don't know what side of the pool they're going to go in. And with that said, we're still not seeing him called out. I struggle with this at women's featherweight more than anywhere else. Because it's not just Amanda. Cyborg had the same problem. Nobody suggested getting that fight. Now, one person has called and said that they should get to be next for Amanda. So I don't get to say nobody's died. I don't get to do that anymore. But over the life of that division, it's been very true. You can be a number one contender your first time in the octagon. Never being signed to the UFC, you can be signed to a world title fight if you're just the one that raises their hand. At 155 pounds, everybody is eligible to be in the discussions. Everybody will be heard. Everybody will be given equal opportunity to have Paddy accept, dismiss you, get that to the second floor of the UFC, get the contract signed. Everybody's saying they don't want to fight him. I saw something very special about Paddy. I saw that he's as good as the hype. I saw that with a little bit of time and the right training, which he's getting, he has the potential to be the world champion. I saw that. I get it. But the guy most recent that I could compare this to, the guy that was getting the attention, filling up arenas, taking headlines, and that people saw as, whoa, this is a diamond in the rough, was Chimaev. But Chimaev was flat scary. He went through 4 contests. He finished all 4 men. He never left the first round. He did it with knockouts. He did it with submissions. Oh, by the way, he was never touched. I mean, it really was an anomaly. I understood a little better why guys were scared of Chimaev. I didn't appreciate it. I didn't give them a pass, but I got it. Guys that are saying, well, he's not even ranked and he's not on my level and he shouldn't be. All these fancy ways to say, man, I don't want to deal with that guy. There's something there. There's something there. Not enough guys know him yet, and he's a badass. That's not what Paddy's doing. Paddy's doing it with control. Paddy's doing it with effort. He's doing it with energy. He's not a guy that you would put in the scary category. But make no mistake, when guys aren't calling out Paddy, that is a sign of respect. They respect him. And that respect is through fear. But it's a different kind of fear because it's the different skills that he's bringing. And it disappoints me. It really does. The guys in the division are not associating themselves at this point with Paddy. I don't love that Paddy is such a phenom, such a sensation, and he's not calling for opportunities, but I can't come down on him. I can't come down on him because what he's doing or what he isn't doing, it's working. I can't come down on him. I would like to see that only because I would like to see the responses. Chimaev did a very good job, if we're just juxtaposing these two's approaches, Chimaev did a very good job of saying who. He would call people out straight up. I want you. And then we would see the dance and we would see those guys come up with all the reasons that they don't want to do it. I'd like to see Paddy hold a couple of feet to the fire. I'd like to see these guys squirming just a little bit. But I would also like the people within the division to know eventually Paddy is going to get the same push that Sugar Sean's going through right now. Eventually those top guys are going to be coming. Dana said he's going to take him to Boston. He's going to take him to New York. These are major opportunities. He's going to bring him to the fight capital of Vegas. He's going to put him on pay-per-view. These are major opportunities. But I don't see guys within the division trying to align themselves. I don't have a deeper thought than that. I'm not here to scold anybody beyond that or do it by name. It's an observation, but it's an accurate one.